Most people think emotions make you human. The Stoics knew better. They knew emotions, unchecked, make you a slave. They knew control, not expression, is the mark of true intelligence. In this world, you don't rise by feeling everything, you rise by mastering it. Because the man who can't control his mind will always be controlled by someone who can. That's why this video isn't about feeling better, it's about becoming untouchable. You're going to learn 10 cold, sharp secrets from Stoic philosophy, especially from Marcus Aurelius, that will rewire how you think, how you respond, and how you dominate emotion before it dominates you. You'll talk about how silence becomes power, how detachment becomes armor, how your emotional stillness becomes a weapon, and how emotional intelligence isn't about being kind, it's about being lethal in a world that feeds off weakness. This is not for the fragile. This is for the ones ready to break their limits. So listen closely, and if you're ready, comment below. Calm is my power, silence is my weapon. Part 1. Emotion is a weapon. Control it or be controlled. Emotions aren't the problem. Your relationship with them is. Most people treat emotion like a god, something they must obey. They get angry, so they shout. They feel sad, so they retreat. They get jealous, so they sabotage. And every time they do, they prove one thing. They're not in control, they're puppets, pulled by the invisible strings of their own biology. But the Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, understood something deeper. Motion is just energy, raw, neutral. It's your response that gives it meaning. And if you want to become truly powerful, you must learn this. Feel everything, react to nothing. That doesn't mean becoming numb, it means becoming surgical. You analyze the emotion like a scientist. You step outside it, you delay, you breathe, you observe, and in that pause, you take back control. You don't shout when provoked, you don't chase when ghosted, you don't beg when abandoned. Because begging is not intelligence, reactivity is not strength. People are watching you, even when you don't notice. The one who controls his state controls the frame, and the one who controls the frame controls the outcome. So, next time emotion rises like fire in your chest, don't run, don't speak, don't even blink. Hold it, study it, and use it like a blade, because the man who controls his emotion is feared, not because he doesn't feel, but because he cannot be shaken. Comment this below if you're building that control. I feel it, but it doesn't own me. Part 2. Detachment, the armor of the Stoic mind. Attachment is the leash. Detachment is the blade that cuts it. The reason most people suffer isn't because life is hard, it's because they cling. They cling to people, to validation, to comfort, to the illusion of control. And when reality rips those things away, they fall apart. But Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What he meant was this: the Stoic mind isn't cold because it feels nothing. It's powerful because it's prepared to lose anything. Detachment is not apathy, it's clarity. It's knowing that nothing is truly yours, not praise, not relationships, not even peace. So you stop grasping, you stop chasing, you stop expecting life to owe you anything. And in that stillness, you gain leverage. You become the man who can walk away, the one who doesn't flinch when things shift, the one who doesn't crumble when someone pulls away because you were never holding on too tightly to begin with. That's terrifying to people because they can't manipulate what they can't emotionally trap. In a world built on instant dopamine and false connection, detachment is your rebellion. It is not a lack of care, it is the mastery of care. You give when it serves your mission. You withdraw when it costs your peace. You remain still when others demand reaction. This is what Stoicism teaches. Don't be owned by what you enjoy. Use it. Appreciate it, but never depend on it. When you no longer need what others fear losing, you become untouchable. And in that untouchability lies dominance. If you're building that kind of mind, comment below. Nothing owns me. I walk away with power. Part 3. Silence is power. The less you say, the more they fear. The most dangerous man in the room is not the one who speaks with fire. It's the one who says nothing and watches everything. Stoicism taught this long before modern psychology caught up. Words are not your strength, restraint is. Because the moment you speak, you reveal something. Your thoughts, your position, your emotions. And the more you reveal, the easier it is to control you. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste breath. He ruled empires with stillness. He understood that silence creates a vacuum, and human nature abhors a vacuum. People rush to fill it with assumptions, explanations, nervous chatter. And while they do, you learn everything. Silence disarms people. It makes them anxious. They begin to over-explain, to justify, to unravel. Why? Because silence forces them to meet themselves, and most can't handle what they find there. In contrast, the man who speaks less becomes a mystery, and mystery breeds tension. Tension breeds interest. Interest breeds influence. That's the dark psychological game the Stoics mastered. The more silent you are, the more power people project onto you. They wonder what you know, what you're planning, what you're hiding. You become the mirror they fear to look into. And here's the key. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means you've chosen not to react emotionally. You've chosen to observe, to study, to strike with timing, not impulse. This doesn't just apply in arguments, it applies in every social frame. You don't rush to fill awkward silences. You don't spill your life story to be liked. You don't explain your boundaries. You set them with calm presence. Because silence isn't empty. It's loaded with dominance. It tells the world, I don't need to perform for you. I control myself, and that means I can't be controlled by you. If you're building that kind of presence, comment below. My silence says more than your noise. 4. Control the frame, control the outcome. Power doesn't belong to the loudest voice. It belongs to the one who sets the frame. Every conversation, every situation, every interaction has a frame. A psychological container that defines how people think, feel, and act within it. Most people don't see it. They walk into other people's frames. They play roles. They react to how others define the moment. But the Stoic? He doesn't step into chaos, he reshapes it. Marcus Aurelius didn't just respond to problems, he reframed them. He'd ask, is this in my control? If yes, he acted. If not, he redefined the situation so that it served him mentally, not consumed him emotionally. Now apply that in the modern world. Someone insults you, most react. They defend, they explain. But the one in control reframes. He treats the insult like irrelevant noise. He doesn't give it oxygen. He controls the meaning. Therefore, he controls the power. You don't win battles by fighting harder. You win by changing the battlefield. Dark psychology understands this well. If you control how people see the situation, you don't need to convince them. You don't need to win arguments. You just bend their perception until they move within the rules you've silently written. It's not manipulation, it's mental architecture. And here's how you do it. You stay calm when others escalate. You speak last, not first. You ask questions instead of explaining. You decide what matters and what doesn't. The moment you stop reacting and start defining, people start adjusting to you. You shift the power dynamic from defensive to dominant. And once you control the frame, you control the outcome, without ever raising your voice. This is not about arrogance, it's about quiet authority. It's the discipline to stay rooted when others are pulled by emotion. And that discipline, that's rare, that's respected, that's feared. If you're learning to command the frame, comment below. I decide the meaning. I control the frame. 5. Emotional distance. The art of strategic detachment. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. No one should ever have access to your emotional core without earning it. This is where emotional intelligence becomes lethal, when you combine awareness with distance, not coldness, control. Strategic detachment isn't about ignoring people. It's about choosing what affects you. And if you don't choose, the world will choose for you. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, death, but he didn't crumble because he knew the mind must be trained to observe, not absorb. When you absorb everything, every insult, every shift in someone's tone, every social signal, you become emotionally penetrable, vulnerable to the moods of others. That's a weak position to live from. Strategic detachment flips that. It places you above the noise, not because you're heartless, but because you've chosen to stand guard at the gate of your mind. This means you don't chase closure, you don't seek revenge, you don't spiral over things left unsaid. You withdraw your energy, not as punishment, but as recalibration. You stop handing out your presence like it's worthless. And in doing so, something powerful happens. People begin to feel the weight of your absence. They question your silence. They notice your distance. Because when you detach without anger, it creates a psychological void. And that void speaks louder than confrontation ever could. Detachment is not weakness. It's a conscious decision to protect your mental sovereignty. To stay centered when the world pulls at your attention, your feelings, your loyalty. You don't have to react to be strong. You don't have to engage to be dominant. Sometimes, the most commanding move is to vanish. Silently, without emotion, without warning. Because silence with distance isn't passive, it's power refined. If you're mastering emotional distance, comment below. I protect my peace like it's power, because it is. 6. Don't explain yourself, let them sit in confusion. Explanation is not always clarity. Sometimes it's submission. When you constantly explain yourself, why you didn't reply, why you said no, why you walked away, you train people to believe they are owed access to your reasoning. And once you do that, you've already lost power. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius lived under constant judgment. But he didn't defend himself. Why? Because he knew truth doesn't beg. Integrity doesn't perform, and self-respect never needs validation. Let them be confused. Let them wonder why you pulled back. Let them overthink your silence. Let them assume wrong things. That tension they feel, that's your new currency. Use it. In dark psychology, confusion is not chaos, it's control. When someone doesn't fully understand you, they become obsessed with decoding you. They replay your words, they analyze your behavior, and in doing so, they orbit you mentally. But the moment you start over-explaining, the game is over. They figure you out, they file you away, predictable, safe, defeated. Emotionally intelligent people do not explain their boundaries, they set them. They do not justify their standards, they live them. They do not defend their decisions, they own them. This isn't arrogance, this is power in its purest form, restraint. Because your silence is not absence, it's a mirror. It forces others to face their own expectations, their own guilt, their own need for control. Don't fill the silence. Don't clean up their confusion. Let it echo. Let it disturb them. Let it teach them that your mind is a fortress, not a public hallway. And if they walk away because you didn't explain yourself, good. That was never your loss. Remember, those who need you to explain everything were never listening to understand. They were only listening to control. If you're done over-explaining and you're ready to move in silence, comment below. My clarity doesn't need your permission. 7. Use emotional discipline to dominate every room. Most men enter a room trying to prove themselves. The emotionally disciplined man enters and doesn't have to. Why? Because his presence is not fueled by insecurity. It's not loud. It's not performative. It's calm. And in that calm is command. Emotional discipline is the rarest form of power. Not because it's complicated, but because almost no one has it. People are reactive by nature. They respond to every tone shift, every insult, every passive comment. Their energy is dictated by their environment. But you're building something else. You walk into a room and you don't scan for approval, you scan for control. You watch, you listen. You observe how others expose themselves in their desperation to be liked, to be seen, to belong. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have to assemble your life action by action, and be satisfied if each one achieves its goal as far as possible." What does that mean today? It means your presence must be intentional, your speech minimal, your reactions calculated. Discipline is not suppression, it's refinement. You still feel the insult, you still sense the disrespect, but you choose not to give it life. And that choice? That's where the room starts shifting toward you. People don't follow the most emotional man. They follow the most stable one. And here's what they'll never admit. When you remain calm while they escalate, it disturbs them. When you don't flinch, they stop second-guessing. When you're not triggered, they feel exposed. Because emotional discipline makes others feel disarmed, it shows them that you're not playing the same game, and that makes you dangerous. So master your inner state, not just for peace, but for positioning. Because when you own your emotions, you own the room. If you're building that internal dominance, comment below. I don't chase the room adjusts to me. Hate. Never. Chase connection, make them chase your presence. Connection becomes weakness when it turns into pursuit. Most people are addicted to being seen, being liked, being wanted. They chase connection like oxygen, and in doing so, they bleed power with every interaction. But the Stoic doesn't chase, he attracts. Marcus Aurelius understood that your worth is not defined by how many people surround you, but by how little you need them. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are rooted in self-respect, your actions reflect it. You don't move toward people who pull away. You don't explain your worth to those who overlook it. You don't beg to be chosen. Because the moment you chase, you lower your value. This is where emotional intelligence meets psychological warfare. The more you give freely, your time, your energy, your presence, the more people take it for granted. Humans are wired to undervalue what is always available. Scarcity creates gravity. So instead of being everywhere, be rare. Instead of always replying, create silence. Instead of showing up uninvited, disappear and let them notice the void. You don't win people over by trying harder. You win by making them feel your absence. By making them realize they were not the prize, you were. When they wonder why you've gone quiet, let them sit in it. When they ask why you've pulled back, answer with presence, not explanation. Because the Stoic's power is not in how many people he knows, but in how easily he walks away from the ones who don't align with his peace. This isn't ego, it's structure. You set the standard. You train people how to treat you by what you tolerate and what you silently reject. So stop chasing. Let your silence do the work. If you're ready to turn your presence into power, comment below. I don't chase, I attract through discipline. 9. The emotionally intelligent man is always 3 steps ahead. Power isn't just about control in the moment. It's about preparation before the moment. Most people are blindsided by life because they expect it to be fair. They react because they didn't anticipate. They get betrayed and call it shock. They get rejected and call it pain. But the Stoic, he expects nothing, and because of that, he sees everything. Marcus Aurelius practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evil. He mentally rehearsed worst-case scenarios, not out of fear, but out of readiness. He believed that if you prepare for chaos, it cannot break you. This is where true emotional intelligence emerges, not in reaction, but in foresight. The average man walks into situations hoping for peace. The Stoic walks in prepared for war and therefore remains calm. You must think ahead. You must read people, anticipate patterns, watch behavior. Instead of listening to words, you must ask, what are they not saying? Where is this going? How will I respond if they betray me, test me, or try to shift control? You don't become cold, you become calculated. You don't get bitter, you get sharper. While others are busy reacting to the surface, you're mapping the strategy 3 moves deep. That's what makes you dangerous. Not emotion, but awareness. Most people live in the present moment emotionally, blind to the traps being set around them. You study the terrain before you step. That's how you stop being the pawn and become the player. And here's the truth. Emotional intelligence isn't soft. It's surveillance. It's pattern recognition. It's predicting the storm while others dance in sunlight, unaware of what's coming. Stay 3 steps ahead, always. Because the man who sees the punch before it's thrown never gets knocked out. If you're thinking strategically, not emotionally, comment below. I don't react. I prepare. I dominate. Master yourself, or be mastered by the world. This world doesn't reward emotion. It rewards discipline. You were told to express yourself, to be vulnerable, to be open, and there's a time for that. But understand this. If you don't master your inner world, the outer world will control it for you. Every system, every relationship, every social game feeds on the man who cannot control himself, the man who gets angry too quickly, the man who needs approval, the man who speaks just to be heard. They drain him, they use him, they discard him. But the Stoic, he moves different. He doesn't speak unless there's purpose. He doesn't react unless it serves him. He doesn't chase peace in others. He builds it in himself. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome, but more importantly, he ruled his mind. He knew that the real war wasn't out there, it was internal, against impulse, against ego, against weakness. Self-mastery isn't sexy. It's not loud. It's silent, brutal work. It's getting up when comfort whispers, sleep. It's staying calm when every nerve in your body screams for reaction. It's being surrounded by noise and moving like a man carved from stone. And when you do that long enough, the world begins to shift around you. People feel your presence without you needing to prove it. They respect your boundaries without you raising your voice. They adjust their tone, their pace, their strategy, because you've shown them something rare, a man who cannot be moved. This is emotional intelligence, not soft, not agreeable, but dangerous, calm, untouchable. So choose, every day, master yourself or be mastered by everything weaker than you. If you're ready to rule your mind and walk like a weapon, comment below. My mind is mine. My life is mine. I bow to no emotion. And if this series hit you deep, do this now. Like the video, subscribe to Modern Stoicism. Turn on notifications, because this journey has just begun.